Last weekend at the USA Wrestling Freestyle and Greco Championships held in Sedalia, Missouri. In case you missed it, Hannibal's Tristan Essick and Austin Brown both captured state titles on the match. Now, Essick competed in the juniors at 138 pounds in freestyle and came out victorious. He won his final match by the score of 11-7. Tristan also competed in juniors at 138 pounds, I should say, in Greco and won his finals match 4-2 to become a double champion. Thank you. Austin Brown, well, he competed at 106 pounds in the 16U freestyle division. He lost in the finals 11-11 by criteria to become a runner-up in the division. Brown also competed at 106 in the 16U Greco division, where he won his finals match by fall. Now, both young men from America's hometown will now represent the state of Missouri at the USA Duels. That's quite an honor. Tristan will compete at Junior Duels in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Austin will be on the mats in the Cadet Duels in the big city of Chicago. Both young men also qualified to wrestle in Fargo Freestyle and Greco Championships in Fargo, North Dakota. Congratulations to Tristan and Austin as they represent the Tri-States in style. That's a wrap for sports. We will be back after this.